Powered by Campus Insiders, WCC Women's Hoops is fast approaching, so what better way to tip things off than with your all-conference team and your preseason rankings? Let's start with the all-conference team and one of last year's most dominating players, that's St. Mary's senior Jackie Naird, who led the league in scoring and was third in rebounding. Good news for Jackie's opponents, she is a senior, so this is her final season. The Toreros know the value of Amy Kame. The senior not only was named to the all-WCC tournament team last season, she actually didn't miss a game last season either, averaging 16 points every time she was on the court. Making the Bulldogs proud is guard Hayden Palmer. The Gonzaga senior was last year's WCC steals leader and one of the tops in the conference in assists and scoring. The only center to make the list is senior Jennifer Hampson. The BYU Cougar looks to have another big season defensively after recording 72 blocks last year. And congratulations to San Francisco guard Janae Dykes, one of the hardest workers in the league, averaging over 32 minutes per game last year. Rounding out the rest of the all-conference team is St. Mary's Danielle Moulton. The senior forward recorded double-doubles in 5 of the first 8 games last year. From Gonzaga, guard Jasmine Redmond, last year's Defensive Player of the Year, and forward Sunny Greinacher, who led the Zags in shooting percentage. Maya Hood from San Diego, last year's Newcomer of the Year, and LMU's Hazel Ramirez, who finished last year second in the league in assists. Now, are you ready to find out who your West Coast Conference preseason team rankings are? Here are the results on the women's side as voted on by the coaches. At the top, no surprise, Gonzaga, followed by San Diego, which received 1 first-place vote. St. Mary's, BYU's in 4th. Pacific enters its first season at 5th. Then LMU, Portland, Santa Clara, San Francisco, and Pepperdine rounds it out. Remember, for all your West Coast Conference women's hoops information, keep it locked right here on the W.TV. We look forward to another successful season.
Welcome to the West Coast Conference basketball tip-off. We're going to be talking women's basketball all day long, and right now I've got St. Mary's coach Paul Thomas and Jackie Naird joining me. And welcome, guys.
Good morning.
Ready to get this thing started?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's just start off. Tell me a little bit about what your team's going to look like this season.
Well, we have a very balanced team this year. We have our big 3 back, which is a good thing as we start, the 2013-14 season with Jackie, Danielle Malden, and Kate Gaze. Obviously, their leadership, and they've been through the grind of the whole season several times, and that's great to have.
And Jackie, having that chemistry back, a bunch of players that you've played with the last several seasons, how important is that?
It's super important. It's going to be a great year, I think, with same group of girls that are just so fun to be with and play with. So it should be really exciting this year. And
you guys made it to the Final 8 of the WNAT last year. How much does that experience really help you kind of lay the foundation for this year, Jackie?
It does a lot. I think it really brought us together as a team. We went really, farther than I think what most people expected, and it was a really great experience for us, and I think that just shows us how much further we can go this year especially.
Coach, the West Coast Conference is a very challenging basketball conference. Gonzaga has been there every year. The last 9 years they've won the conference. How challenging is this conference? What's it like to play in this conference?
It's an absolute joy to play in the conference because you have to be prepared each and every single game. With Gonzaga at the top, I think everybody else has been doing a very good job of trying to catch up with them. And I think there's some parity and there's more each and every year. So I think it's a joy. I love the conference. This is going to be my 8th year, and it's a challenge. The travel is somewhat easy. I think the teams really enjoy each other because they all have similar likes, and so I can't say enough good things about the West Coast Conference.
What do you expect it to look like this year, Coach? I mean, how difficult will it be? What teams do you expect will really present challenges?
Well, I think with Pacific coming in, that obviously they didn't come in as a team that's starting from the bottom and are trying to climb up. I mean, I think their preseason was 5th or 4th or somewhere in there. And so I think that just adds more depth to our conference as each team is getting better and better. And I think that's one of the good things. You have to be ready to compete every Thursday and Saturday.
What about you, Jackie? What's it like? How big of a battle is it out on the court every year?
It's a battle every game. No matter what team we're playing, it's always going to be a grind, a war out there, and we're going to fight hard and play hard each game. And it's really fun, but it's always a grind, no matter who we're playing.
And you led the conference in scoring last year. What have you been working on over the summer to kind of come out on your senior year and even top that this year?
I've been trying to work on just being more consistent, I think. Working on my shots, trying to get up my field goal percentage and all that good stuff. So just trying to be more consistent, I think.
Coach, last year, offense and defense kind of in the middle, upper half of the West Coast Conference last year. What do you expect your offense to look like this year?
Well, I don't think our offense will change too much. We put a little adjustment here and there in, but we're not going to do anything drastically different. You know, our on-ball motion offense, we're just trying to execute the fundamentals better. And I think once you can do that, you have more opportunities for more people. And although Jackie led us in scoring, you know, I think one of the things that her and I discussed is we need her to score points, but we need to have her get other people involved, meaning they need to get easier baskets from what she creates because she is such a all-around good offensive player. And so we've been working on that, and we're hopefully going to, you know, build upon the skills that she developed over the last how many months off and be an improvement this year.
And how nice is it to have this player sitting next to you on your team?
Oh, it's very nice. You know, Jackie as a player has come a ways, but Jackie as a person has been phenomenal. She's just been a super person to coach, and her and I have grown together, and I think that's what college basketball is all about. That's the biggest reason, at least why I do it, is the relationship that you build with your student athletes.
And Jackie, your coach signed a contract extension this year. He's going to be around 5 extra years. What's it like playing for him?
It's awesome. He's super intense, and I like that just because I'm really intense as well. So I think we feed off each other really well, and especially, like he said, gotten a lot better over the years with feeding off each other and learning from one another. So I think it's been a great experience.
And one of your team's strengths the last year was underneath the basket on the boards. How do you coach to that, and what type of players do you have that are really in there and feisty and getting those rebounds?
Well, obviously you have to, I think it starts with your physicality, and I think if you have players that are not afraid to check somebody out and then go after the ball, that's a very good beginning. And so you recruit those players. You recruit players that are not afraid of the contact and afraid of getting bumped and banged in there. And then we just work on it every day. We emphasize it every day. Many of our competitions that we do during practice are rebounds based rather points based. So we just change the emphasis a little bit on our competition, and I think that has helped us. But Amanda, it really is. It all comes down to the players. We're sitting here because of the student athletes, and so you just get players that want to rebound and that make that a priority.
You've got a pretty tough non-conference schedule before the West Coast Conference even starts. Jackie, how much does that help you prepare for a pretty tough West Coast Conference schedule?
I mean, it's awesome, I think, just because we do get to play teams that are going to be tough, just like our games in the WCC will be. It's just, I think it's a good learning experience for everyone playing against tougher teams and getting that just exposure experience and all those things. So.
Great. And Pacific joining the conference this season. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but how do you kind of get ready for a team like that who's now in your conference, and you've seen them occasionally, they're nearby?
We've actually played Pacific, I want to say, every year. We've played them probably 5 or 6 consecutive years. So we're very familiar with one another, and we just have to, it means a little bit more now, and we're going to play them twice, so the preparation is going to be a little bit different. But they've all been very competitive games, and you know, it's an added game and an added competition, and I think for our team and all teams to get up for that extra 2 games really is going to be interesting because we added a week now, and I'm very curious to see how all the teams respond to that.
And with that comes the addition of travel partners. We have 10 teams in the conference now. How is that dynamic going to change?
That's the best thing. We're on a regular double round robin, travel partners. I think it's one of the best things. You know where you're going each week. And you know, you have the LMU and PEP, which has always been there, but there's no funny weeks in there. And so I think that's, I was really, really glad when Pacific decided to join the West Coast Conference, just because of that.
Right.
Brings some continuity back.
All right, well, Coach Thomas, Jackie, thank you so much for joining me. Best of
Amanda.
luck on your season this year, and we'll be back with more interviews shortly. We are rolling right along on the West Coast Conference basketball tip-off day, and I'm now joined by San Diego coach Cindy Fisher and Amy Kane. Welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to get this season started?
We're very ready.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit, first of all, Coach, about your program this year. What's your team going to look like?
Well, we're a very experienced team. You know, I think we have amazing senior leadership, so I'm excited about that, starting with Amy. You know, with Lise Barlow, Cameron Knudsen, Felicia Weinberg. So, you know, I'm really excited about that because I think your seniors are definitely your impact players and the ones that are going to lead you. And so they've done an amazing job so far and, you know, getting us prepared for our first game coming up. And so we're just looking forward to a very competitive season again.
Amy, what's it like to be one of those senior leaders? How much pressure or difference of a feeling is it out there for you?
I mean, it's definitely different knowing that this is my last season, but I like it. I like it a lot knowing that, I mean, there's a lot of pressure going into it, and but I just like to stay relaxed, and it's really fun too because we have a really fun group, and I love my team, and it's going to be a really good year, so.
And last year went to the West Coast Conference Championship final game, lost to Gonzaga. But what was that experience like for your team to kind of bring you together and, you know, just really as a bonding experience, Amy?
It was a really good experience, and it was one of our goals from the beginning of the year to be able to play for the championship, and it's definitely a goal again this year to win the WCC. So I'm just really excited to be back there with my team again, and I think that last year that was a good experience for us to go into this year with that.
And Coach, how do you take that game as momentum for this year and really use it to motivate your players this year?
You know, every game in the WCC is a tough game. You know, I think that, you know, across the board, the conference is so competitive. And I think getting anybody in that kind of a situation in a championship game, you know, it's playing for a lot of different things. It's great exposure, great fan base. You know, the Orleans does an amazing job there. So the atmosphere alone is just such a great experience for, especially the younger players. You know, Amy's kind of a old pro at it. It's been there a lot, has gone through a lot. But, you know, those kind of moments for your team, there's no way that you can ever put them in that situation unless they're there. So it's great. It's great exposure, great experience.
And you have a challenging schedule this year. You're playing 6 teams that made postseason appearances. Actually, 3 of your first 5 games are against teams that played in the postseason. How does that help your team to build character and really get going once comes time for conference play?
Well, again, it's a credit to Amy and our senior group. I felt like we were a team that could really, you know, start out on the road. We start out at Northern Colorado, who is a very, very competitive team. You know, come home for Arizona State, a good Pac-12 team. So again, I feel like they're ready. They will be ready. They're competitive. They know how to win. Great senior leadership, great support staff around them. So you know, you go out there, you schedule as hard as you can to get ready for the conference play, and you take it one game at a time, knowing that you want to be playing your best, you know, come the 1st of March.
Amy, your team was very strong offensively last year, and that started with you. Tell me about your team's offense this year.
Well, I think that we're going to be a lot different this year. I mean, we're still going to have everybody contributing, and I think that that's the one thing about our team that is so great, that any given night someone will step up and someone can score a lot, and I think that that's just the great thing about our team. But I think that that's hard for us. It's hard for our opponents to guard as well because they don't know who's going to step up. And if one person is having an off game, then someone else can come in. And I think that we're really athletic. We have a lot of athletic girls this year who can step up and who can produce that for us. So it's going to be really exciting, and I'm ready to see how they react to it.
And you were no slouches on the defensive side of the ball last year either. Tell me a little bit about your defense, Coach.
Well, that's funny because I always complain that we're not very good defensively. But, you know, I think we're obviously extremely competitive, and it starts with Amy. My gosh, one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life. But, you know, she transfers that to the defensive end, and we totally understand that defense is going to create a lot of offense for us. And last year's team especially, we had to create some easy buckets, and that was layups and getting to the rim as much as we could. But we spent a lot of time on it, probably more than they like to spend on it, but it's something that we feel like wins championships, and so we spend a lot of time on it right now and try to get a system that they're comfortable with and just keep building on it.
And talk to me about this girl sitting right next to you, because you've talked about her a little bit, but just expand on how much she's meant to your program.
Well, she means everything to our program. And, you know, Amy, we were just talking about it driving up here. There's not a more competitive person probably that I've coached in my career. And, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have that leadership out there, so it's not always me. And you know, I think that she takes our team to a different level. Her intensity, her leadership, her competitiveness, her just her personality, her funness. You know, it's just whatever she is feeling. I think we kind of thrive on that. And you know, it's one of those people that you never ever want to leave your program. You never want to be without them. And I am excited for her year. I am. I think she is the best player in the West Coast Conference. I think she is an amazing athlete, an amazing person, and I can't say enough about her. I love her, and she's going to have a great year.
Excellent. I'll give you the chance. What's it like to play for Coach Fisher?
It's awesome. I mean, it was the best decision in my life to come to USD, and I will say that over and over again because just every year she has pushed me so hard, and she pushes all of us so hard to be the best that we can be. And coming in as a freshman, I was really intimidated, and I have grown so much as a player, and that's because of Coach Fisher and everything that she has taught me. I've learned so much, and I mean, I love her. So it's a great experience, and I mean, not only has she taught me so much about being a basketball player, but just a person in general. So it's just been a great experience.
And we could really see the chemistry with this team last season. And one of your mottos that I remember you guys telling me about during the WCC tournament was "Don't flinch," which was a Jim Harbaugh quote. Is that still the motto this year, or is there something else we're going with this year?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you know, I think we kind of grow into what our motto is for the tournament. You know, one thing was embrace the grind. I think that's something that we live on, and that's just you know, Kaizen. I always express to them as one of my favorite words, and that's continuous improvement. And right now, it's about improving every day. It's about getting better, but you know, definitely don't flinch. Right? You got to believe that you're the best, and you play like the best, and that takes you far.
This year, the West Coast Conference, another challenging year. What do you see is going to be the strengths, and which teams are you really looking out for this year in the West Coast Conference, Coach?
Every team, every team, honestly. I mean, obviously Gonzaga brings back a very, very talented basketball team. You know, you can start from the top and go all the way down. I think Pacific joining the league is a positive. They're a very, very good basketball team. Lynn does an amazing job. You know, all the way down, it's just St. Mary's. We always battle with St. Mary's. BYU's been kind of our nemesis. We haven't been able to get them, you know, at their place or our place. So, you know, we always want to battle them. But every night you have to be prepared. You have to be ready. You can't take a day off. You can't expect anything. You just have to, you know, go into every one of them like it's a national championship and play hard and make sure that you're prepared and do the best you can.
All right, well, Coach Fisher, Amy, thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck this season. And we'll have more interviews on the West Coast Conference Tip-Off Day coming up next. Welcome back to our West Coast Conference women's basketball tip-off interviews. I'm now joined by Portland head coach Jim Zollers and Jasmine Wooton. Welcome.
Thank you.
You guys excited, ready to get the season underway?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the players are really excited about playing somebody instead of beating on each other.
Is that true? Is it hard to be out there every day just playing one-on-one against your teammates?
We're learning each other so well, so I'm ready to have some honest defense.
Coach, tell me a little bit about your program and your team this year. What are you guys going to look like?
Well, you know, we have a lot more experience than we did last year. We're older, which doesn't always make you better, but we hope we're going to be better as well. But we had no seniors on the squad last year, and this year we'll have 2 seniors, a big group of juniors, including some redshirts who had been hurt at one time or another, and a good group of young kids that have joined the program the last couple of years. So we think we have excellent depth. We're assuming we do anyway.
Jasmine, how important is that chemistry? You do have 11 players returning from last year. How important is that just to your overall team chemistry?
I think it's very important. It helps us a lot on and off the court to just not take things so personally and help each other up all the time, you know. It's just easier when you're playing with your friends than it is with some people that you just met or you're not as comfortable with, so.
And what are the strengths of this team going to be this year? Offensively, defensively, where do you see the strengths of your team?
You know, I think the guards will be our strength to a large degree. I think we'll shoot the ball better than we have in the past. The post, we have 4 good-sized kids, and one of those is going, or 2 of those will have to step up, and we need a little bit better scoring from them. But if we get that, I think we could be pretty competitive with anyone.
And not a lot of seniors this year still. None last year, as you said, but only 2 this year. So as a junior, you're kind of one of the older players on the team. Do you like that role of being kind of in a leadership role?
Yeah, it has its, it has its ups and downs, but I feel like, like you were saying, the chemistry is it's very helpful with the trust. So I feel more confident in my role.
Tell me a little bit about this player sitting next to you, Jasmine Wooton. What's it like to have her on your team?
Well, you know, she's one of the first real leaders that we've had from the very beginning. She stepped into a role of not playing all the time as a freshman or a sophomore, but she started most of the time as a sophomore. But she just, give credit to her parents and her throughout the years. It wasn't something we taught her. She just intuitively has a good sense of leadership. She encourages her teammates, and I think the best thing I can say about her is I haven't had a player probably in 15 years that shows up every day the way she does to get better. And every day I know she's going to be there to get better and make progress, and that's so important in the whole process. And it's so rare, frankly.
And tell me about playing for your coach. He's coming into his 28th season at Portland. What's it like to play for him?
It's great. It's great having somebody that you can talk to and not just feel like you're just a player, and that you can connect with them on different levels, And I feel like it transfers onto the court. It's easy I can trust him. Everything that he tells me, I can trust him. So it's really nice to play for somebody like that.
Last year, your offense was kind of middle of the road in the West Coast Conference. Do you see an improvement there this year?
Well, I think maturity will help us. Last year, I think we played, I counted it up at one point in time, I think we played 21 games that were decided in the last minute and a half to 2 minutes, and we didn't win the majority of those games. We won some of them, not as many as we'd like. And I think maturity, understanding each other, age sometimes helps. I think all of that looks good for the future. I'm assuming we're going to win a majority of the games that we play in those tight moments.
And yeah, having those tight games, even if you don't come out on the winning end of them, what does that do just for your experience level and really knowing how to navigate your way through a game like that, a close game like that?
Well, we always talk about we either win or learn. So it's definitely on, those tough games that you do lose. You just have to really take away the learning experience from it and learn what you can change for the next time around. And I feel like we've had a lot of learning. So this season we should be able to implement what we've learned.
Do you feel like last season laid a very good foundation for this year to improve upon?
Definitely. And now that we have the same team returning, basically, and the new girls that came in, they're great and they fit right in. So I feel like it should be a lot better for us this year.
And in the West Coast Conference, it's such a strong basketball conference. What are the challenges that you foresee this year, and what are the teams that you're really looking out for this year and you really are looking forward to going up against, Coach?
Well, I think Obviously, Gonzaga is going to be one of the better teams. I think Kelly feels he has one of the best teams ever, and they're certainly going to be one of the biggest teams ever in the conference. BYU is a solid team with a big center that always creates problems for you. St. Mary's has most of their players returning. San Diego has most of theirs returning. So I think the whole conference is going to be very good, I think. As I thought it was last year, to be honest with you, I was shocked we didn't get more than one team in the NCAA tournament. I think St. Mary's losing to Pepperdine probably late in the season prevented them from going, and they deserved last year to go.
And you said you have some players returning this year, including redshirt junior Cassandra Brown, who's coming off an injury. Tell me a little bit about her and what she's going to bring to the team this year.
Well, she's a tall, thin wing player. She's probably our tallest player. I'm not sure she's over 6'2", and shoots the ball very, very well. She had, we have a little 5-minute shooting drill where they shoot from the baseline, the wing, top the key, wing baseline, and in 5 minutes she hit well over 100 shots in that period of time. She's just an excellent shooter. Not the quickest thing that ever moved, but she has learned to be more aggressive around the basket, and so I think it's going to be a big help. Clearly one of the best three-point shooters in our conference.
West Coast Conference added a team this year, University of the Pacific, so it's a 10-team conference now. Jasmine, what do you know about this team, and what do you think they're going to add just having that 10th team in the conference?
I don't know much about the team, but I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of different teams just because, you know, we go and play Gonzaga, we kind of know their offenses because we've played against them a lot of times, but Pacific is going to be a just completely different ball game for a lot of teams, so it's going to put some pressure on some teams.
And how do you prepare your team for that, where you have a team that you're going to face twice every year? It's a new team into the conference. How do you get your team ready for that?
Well, you know, anymore we have such great scouting, and we have so many services that we apply to. We see people play on film. We can't go in person, but we see them numerous times. Everyone sees each other, and so it's a matter of preparing and doing the best you can to neutralize what they do well, and hopefully you can bring your A game with it. And they're going to be very good. They were regular season Big West Conference champions last year, and we expect, I know they lost one of their key players to an automobile accident this summer, but I think they'll be very competitive. And we've played them a number of times in the past, just not in the last 2 or 3 years.
And Jasmine, last question for you. Last year made it to the second round of the West Coast Conference tournament to play St. Mary's. What did just that whole experience do you think did for your team, especially since you have so many players coming back who went through that with you? What do you think that did for your team last year?
I think that feeling when the buzzer went off that we're not continuing, I feel like that's a taste in our mouths that I personally hope stays there for a while, so that we just remember like what we're fighting for, and I never want to feel that again. So it's a good experience, but hopefully going farther this year.
All right, great. Well, best of luck this season. Coach Jasmine, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll be back shortly with more interviews from the West Coast Conference basketball tip-off. Welcome back to the West Coast Conference basketball tip-off day. I'm now joined by Santa Clara head coach Jennifer Mountain and Ricky Radonovich. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks
Are
to
you
be here.
ready to get this season underway?
I actually can't wait for it to get started. I know our team is ready to play somebody else.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit about your team this year. What are they going to look like?
Well, I think that people are really going to enjoy a fast-paced tempo. We have a lot of new faces. We have 5 incoming freshmen that have joined us. And I think they've been a great complement to our returners. We have a lot of depth. And so I think, with the style of play that we're trying to put into play and just some individual improvements over the spring and summer, I think we're much improved and going to be exciting to watch.
And there are 5 freshmen on the team this year. How does that dynamic play out and change the way your team looks from last year?
Well, you always hope that you recruit a fit for a student athlete, and I think these 5 have come in and really complemented, like I said, our returners. Chemistry-wise, I think they've just gelled right away. Having them in summer school, I think, always helps. So they've had a quick touch of what school's like, what basketball is like, being able to start with them in the summer. They've fit in well, and it's almost like we just kept going. It wasn't that we had to do a lot of teaching with them.
And this team, Ricky, this team's improved every year the last 5 years. Best year last year since you've been around. How strong of a foundation has been laid for this season?
It's great. We have a really great group of girls coming back and returning and have improved every year together individually and collectively. And with the addition of these freshmen, I think we're going to have a great year.
And Megan Phelps graduated last year. She was your leading scorer on the team. Who do you expect to step up into her role and be kind of one of the leading scorers on your team? And how do you fill that gap? Who's going to step in for that role?
Well, when you lose people to graduation, you always wonder. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's to be one specific person. I think Nikki Gilday has really stepped up her game and will improve in the scoring area. Ricky is somebody that we've always relied on. But I think it's going to be a combination of depth and really more the style of our play where the tempo is going to really make a difference.
And Ricky, tell me a little bit about just playing in the West Coast Conference. How difficult is it, and what are the challenges that come with playing in such a strong basketball conference?
I love this conference. Every game is a toss-up. You never know going in who's going to win, and it's a battle each and every game, which I think makes it a lot more exciting to play and a little more pressure on each and every day. But I love how competitive it is.
And I read a quote where you said that this year the league is better from top to bottom than it was last year. What makes you say that?
Well, I just think, people are returning a lot of great players. The programs have all recruited really well. I think the expectations from the head coaches and scheduling and everything that we talk about in our head coaches meeting to grow the conference, everybody's doing that. And so I just think the talent, from top to bottom, everybody's gotten better and better and better. And there is no day that you can take off in our conference, which, Ricky kind of already talked about. And it's special. It's a special place, and, it's competitive, and you've got to put your A game on every night.
And you've got a non-conference schedule this year really designed to get you ready for that West Coast Conference schedule. How are you able to do that? What teams will you be playing, and why do you think that it will prepare you for the West Coast Conference?
Well, I think, our preseason schedule, especially with having a young group, we're playing a lot of home games, which I think will help. We open up at UNLV, their style. A lot of the schools that we're playing, I think, will be a great combination to, hopefully preparing us. I mean, that's why we schedule the way we do. Fresno State, San Jose State, a lot of different schools and different styles, which I think by the time we get to conference, we will hit a lot of different things that will have prepared us.
Offense was a struggle for you guys last year. Do you see it as improved this year, and what have you done to kind of help improve that and get it going? Ricky, I'll ask you first.
Yeah, our offense has changed this year. I think we're trying to go at a much faster pace and a lot more space and movement, which I think has really opened up the floor for different people scoring at all times. I think it's going to be very even scoring throughout the team and much faster, so a lot more shots being put up.
How much does that help you as one of the teams or one of the players on the team that is a leading scorer, just having different people that you can go to and just having that kind of diversity out there on the court?
It helps so much, especially with me being a shooter. When other people are scoring, it gets me open. So the better my teammates do, the better we'll do.
And a new school in the conference this year, University of the Pacific, is joining. How much do you know about this team? They're local in your area, so you face them. But how much do you know about them, and what do you think they'll bring to the West Coast Conference?
Well, very competitive. We've played them in preseason before. I've known Lynn for a long time. They have a great team. They have a lot of transfers that have come in, and some young people that are going to come in and contribute. They had a great year last year, so they're coming off a season where a lot of success. I think they're a great addition. I think they're going to add just another competitive element where, it's going to be tough to play them every night, and people are going to have to be ready.
A lot of great rivalries already in this conference. What's one team or two teams that you really look forward to facing every year?
I always look forward to playing St. Mary's. I think it's a fun rivalry that goes throughout the whole school, not just our sport. So that's always a fun game. And I love playing at Gonzaga because it's a very different feeling than with the crowd and the energy and how big it is. So I look forward to those two games every year.
What about you, Coach? Any games you really get up for every year?
Every game. You know, I mean, every game you want to be competitive and win. So, I mean, I don't particularly like going to that gym and playing at Gonzaga, but I think people are going to be really pleased with what they see from our group this year.
Your defense was one of your strengths last year. Can you talk a little bit about just what your defensive style is and how that can continue to be one of your strengths in the future?
Well, we're trying to put as much pressure as we can on the ball handler. And I think, you know, actually, I think our defense has improved even from last year. You know, one of the areas that we've talked about is the rebounding aspect of it so that we can run in transition. But our pressure on the ball, I think, has been the key. You know, trying to make people go and make them uncomfortable. Whether you're a ball handler, you're a shooter, you know, if all of a sudden you're getting pressured, you think twice about things, and that helps percentages go down. You know, and I think our team has really bought into it, and I think just the whole style of trying to go faster has kind of carried over to the defensive end where we are able to put more pressure and make things happen.
Ricky, it was a successful West Coast Conference season last year. You lost in the first round of the tournament. How do you kind of use that as motivation for this year, maybe a chip on your shoulder?
Definitely. We were not happy at the end. It was a bummer, not a great way to end the season, but I think we just take it, I mean, every day in practice, just remember that and work a little harder, and we're really excited for this year.
Great. And this year the dynamic does change because there are 10 teams in the conference, which means travel partners.
Yep.
What all does that mean for your team and scheduling, and just does it make it easier? What does that mean for your team?
Well, I love the fact that we're going back to travel partners just because of the academic side of it. I mean, we were traveling every Friday last year. So being able to be put and kind of get into your routine, which is something that I was used to as a player and as a young assistant when I first was at GU, I think it brings us back to a little bit more of a comfort when you're on the road. And not having to be, you know, in the travel situation every Friday, which trying to get our kids in class or take them out of class, and it just makes for a better, I think, playing environment and better competitiveness for everybody.
All right, one last question for you, Ricky. What are you most looking forward to this season?
Postseason.
Yeah?
Definitely, yeah. I'm really excited to see how far our team can go this year.
What do you think has to happen for you to get there? What really needs to be a good thing on the Santa Clara Broncos side for that to happen?
It just means every single person needs to step up and contribute as they're in their different roles on the team and have everybody focused on, you know, one team, one goal.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Thank you.
Thank
Ricky,
you.
thank you. And we'll be back with more interviews from the West Coast Conference Basketball Tip-Off Day. Welcome back to the West Coast Conference Basketball Tip-Off Day. We're doing more women's basketball interviews, and I'm now joined by BYU head coach Jeff Judkins and Kim Beeston. Welcome.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
You guys ready to get this season started?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Coach, tell me a little bit about your program this year. What's your team going to look like?
Well, hopefully we'll be a good team. But no, we have a lot of balance this year. I have a lot of players that have gotten quality minutes like Kim and Jen, but we also have some young players that have kind of waited in the wings for their turn to come, and hopefully we'll be able to mesh together.
And Haley Steed no longer on the team, but who do you expect to kind of fill that role, or will it be multiple people to kind of step up and take that place?
Well, I think it's very difficult to replace a player like Haley, but we have several players that will be able to kind of help us. Kim is the most experienced player on our team, and she'll be the leader on the court. She'll relay things and I think really set our team up. And I think she'll have to take more responsibility and maybe looking to score a little bit more than what she has in the past. Hopefully Jen, who this year did not play volleyball, decided to focus on basketball, will be ready to go. We're getting Lexi Eaton back from her ACL injury. And then of course Morgan Bailey, who played a lot of minutes last year for us, will be able to do it. But I think it's going to be by committee. I think a lot of them, they've kind of been waiting for this. I think Kim's been waiting for an opportunity to be able to do this because Haley has been in the program almost as long as me, so it'd be nice.
Kim, how do you feel about having that role, that leadership role thrust upon you this year?
At first I was a little bit worried just because, like you said, Haley is an incredible player and she was like another coach out there on the floor with us. So as long as I know that my leadership is going to be a little bit different than hers, and if I could just do it in my own way and try to implement some of the things that she did, I think that I'm ready for that and I'm excited for it.
Tell us a little bit about your style of play. What are you really looking for out there, and what are you trying to do out there on the court?
For me personally, I'm mostly a shooter, and so just taking the open looks that I get and being able to knock them down, I think is the most important. Also, look to create just a little bit more, like Judd was saying, Coach Judkins was saying, and look to drive, look to make the passes into the post, that type of stuff.
And as you mentioned, Jennifer Hansen is redshirting in volleyball this season, so focusing all her attention on basketball. What is that going to mean to your team this year, having her solely focused on basketball?
Well, we're not going to. She missed 9 games last year, so we're not going to have her for all the games. I think just being around the team has been the biggest difference I've seen. That they know each other better. She feels more comfortable with the players, and and then I think her timing. I mean, it's hard to come in and practice for 2 hours a week and think you're going to be good in basketball. It just doesn't happen that way. So I think Jen's really worked hard, and I think she's excited about it. And as Kim mentioned, I think those two are my leaders. They were voted captains, and I think they have to not just do it on the court, they got to do it off the court, and I think they'll do a great job.
And Kim, what does she mean to your team, having her out there on the court with you?
Oh, it's huge. Jen is a big threat on both sides of the ball. And so offensively, it's nice to be able to get it into her, and she's also a great passer. So people have to respect her. And defensively, she can block shots. She knows her role, and she gets great boards for us. So
she's the only girl that can dunk it in our league.
Yes.
Will we see that this year?
I hope so. I'm going to try to let her cherry pick and see if she can get one so she can get put on TV, but she can dunk it, so it's nice.
All right, well, we'll be sure to put her on our Top Play Tuesday if she does.
You better.
Earlier this offseason, you said that you expect to win the league and you expect to beat Gonzaga. What is it that you think is about this team that believes that they can do that?
We're athletic enough to do it. We're deep enough to do it. And I think these young ladies worked really hard in the off season. You know, when you don't reach what you really want to reach in your goal of the season, our goal was to win a conference championship last year and go to the NCAA tournament. We came close, and I think that kind of makes you more motivated all summer to really work hard and do the extra things for you to accomplish that. And I think you're going to see a lot of players change their roles, and I think they can do that for us to really help us. I think Kim will look to score more And I think some other players will have to step it up a little bit for us.
And you did have the experience last year of going to the WNIT, going pretty deep into it. What did that do for your team, just chemistry-wise, experience-wise? What was that experience like for you last year?
I think it builds confidence, just knowing that we can go postseason, that we can be successful. Obviously, it wasn't the tournament that we wanted. It was awesome to be there, but like Coach Judkins said, we're aiming for the NCAA tournament this year, and knowing that we can do well in postseason just brings confidence.
And does that kind of leave a little chip on your shoulder, losing to Gonzaga and St. Mary's in the WNIT? Just these are teams you're going to have to play, next all season. Is that kind of a chip on your shoulder, fuel for the fire?
Yeah. Of course. I know that our whole team is looking forward to those games, and we're going to do everything that we can to be prepared to play them.
Your defense was very strong last year. Tell me about your defensive style for your team and what we can expect to see this year.
Well, we play mostly man-to-man, and we are quite physical. That's what everybody tells us. We try to not let players get where they want to. I'm a strong believer that I like to shoot the bullets instead of blocking it. And, we have size with Jennifer shot blocking. And, Kim didn't say this about herself, so I'm going to. She's a very good defender. She always guards the best player, and she takes a lot of pride in looking at the game plan and following instructions and really using not just her body but her mind and her knowledge of the game. And hopefully over a period of time of stressing, that's all we've kind of done for the last couple of weeks is defense, because I really believe you win championships because of that.
You do have a very tough non-conference schedule, but looking ahead to conference play, which is just going to be just as tough, what do you think are the biggest challenges in the West Coast Conference this year?
I'm not a real favor of these 4 games on the road. I think that's going to make a big decision of who wins this conference, is who can handle that the best. I really do like the, having the teams, like you have your own, San Diego and us.
Right.
I really like that because I think that'll make it more fair with everybody. And I think we have a little advantage because it's a little farther traveling from San Diego to Salt Lake than it is from San Francisco to Santa Clara. So that'll give us a little bit. But also, people aren't used to the snow, so I hope it snows a lot this year so that they can get plugged. But, this conference is going to be great. I can just tell we have a lot of good teams. And we're 1 from 10, I think, as good as I've seen it in the last 3 years.
Kim, is there a team or a game that you really get excited to play every year? Is there one you're really looking forward to this year?
Every team in our conference is going to be tough this year. Most teams only lost 1 or 2 players, if that. So I think getting up for every game is going to be really important. But I always look forward to playing Gonzaga.
Coach, I know this isn't going to be an easy question, but if you had to give me just one key to success this season for your team, one thing you really want to see them do well, what would that be?
Be healthy.
Yeah.
Be healthy and have nobody injured like last year, 4 ACLs. Everybody healthy and be able to mesh as a team and grow as a team.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me. Best of luck this year.
Thanks.
Coach Judkins, Kim Beeston, and we'll be back more with more West Coast Conference tip-off interviews. Welcome back to our West Coast Conference women's basketball tip-off. I'm now joined by Gonzaga head coach Kelly Graves and Hayden Palmer. Welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to play against someone else besides your own team?
Oh, I can't wait. We already had a scrimmage and fan fest, so a couple of official scrimmages against each other. I can't wait to beat up on somebody else.
I'm sure your teammates would appreciate that too. Coach, tell me a little bit about your team this year. What are they going to look like? What can we expect from the Gonzaga Bulldogs?
Well, we're really long. I mean, we're tall not only inside but out on the perimeter as well. You know, we've got good depth. We're really athletic. You know, I think we have a lot of the ingredients that it's going to take to, you know, obviously do well in the conference and hopefully beyond. I think really our strength starts and sometimes finishes with our great senior class included, you know, with Hayden here and Jasmine Redmond and Stephanie Golden. So really excited about this group, and I think we have a lot of potential.
Hayden, this team has a lot of depth. What does that do for your team, and how nice is that to have players that can surround you out there on the court?
Oh, it's great. It's so much chemistry, gives everyone else a lot of confidence, which is good to have as a leader. A lot of times you're trying to get the younger players to be confident, but I think that we have that connection enough now where they know that as leaders, as seniors, we trust in them and the coaches trust in them, and you can tell in the way that they're playing. And I think we'll just really enjoy playing basketball this year, and if you're having fun, you obviously play pretty successful.
And Coach, from your standpoint, how nice is that depth to have so many players you can call on in big situations?
Well, it's, you know, immeasurable, really. And, you know, there is a downside to it. You know, sometimes it's better to know that you can count on 2 or 3 players to carry the burden, you know, game in and game out. And sometimes when you have a lot of different players, it might be somebody different each and every night. Which, as a coach, sometimes that can, you know, drive you nuts. But I think I'd much rather have more depth. Because, you know, it is a long season. It's going to be a really competitive season in the conference and beyond. So, you know, we're going to, I think, need that depth and need to utilize it all year long.
And one of those players you could rely on all the time last year was Taylor Carr. She's no longer here due to graduation. Yeah. But who's going to step into that spot, and how do you fill the place that she left?
Well, you know, it's always said you don't really replace her, but we do have some players that I think are ready to step up, players that we've had on the roster in the past. Kiani Albanez, I think, can certainly take a lot of the burden of the three-point shooting that Taylor left us. And we have a young lady who sat out last year, a transfer named Lindsay Sherbert, played 2 years at Cal, who is a phenomenal basketball player. And, you know, and she is kind of multidimensional. You know, she can do it from the outside. She can also play around the rim. So, you know, and I think, again, the young players that we had last year are all going to step up and need to do a little bit more this year. So we're going to miss Taylor, but I think we've got enough to compensate.
Hayden, first in the West Coast Conference for the 9th year in a row last year, winning the WCC tournament, picked again in the preseason poll to finish first. But how do you improve upon the last several years, and what are you going to look to do to improve upon the last year?
Like Coach said, our conference is getting better and better each year, and we obviously have a target on our back. So just coming to play every game, it's something we've always been focused on, because we know that any game they'll come out to try to get the win. So we always have to be focused and playing hard and all those kind of things, and just take it day by day. I think for us will be a big focus for us, and to not get too happy with any win, and to always know that there's a next team to get to and get that win.
And what is that dynamic like, having all the teams in the conference coming after you? You're the one game that they really get up for. What's that like?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it makes you want to perform, obviously, and it makes you want to get the win, and to not let that team be the team that beats you. But just it just makes the game so much more fun and competitive for us.
And Coach, you've got 4 starters returning from last year. How nice is it to have that solid base and that chemistry already in place?
Well, the chemistry changes every year, even though you have a lot of players back. Right. And so I see it a little bit differently this year. But, you know, obviously there's nothing more valuable than experience, and we do have a lot of experience, and like I said, a great senior class. So I think we're a little further ahead right now than we were at this point last year when we had so many new faces. So I think we're able to put it a little bit more on them earlier. But I think in the end, you know, they're all veterans when it comes to postseason play, which is what we really gear our program around. I mean, that's what's important to us. And you mentioned the 9 straight championships. This team has never won one. You know, they're going for their first, and that's the way we like to frame it. And we like the fact that we're getting everybody's best. I think it makes us better and stronger in the long run.
Hayden, what is the goal for this season? Your coach said postseason, but if you could nail down kind of one specific goal for this season, what do you think it would be?
The same postseason. Obviously, we have to do good in preseason and win conference and do some of those things to get the right seeding. But everybody loves March Madness, and that's where you prove how great of a team you are when you get to knock down some of the other great teams. It's just such a fun environment, and that's what we live to play for.
And you did get that experience last year. Obviously didn't go as far as you would have liked, but what was it like just having that experience with your team last year?
Oh, it's amazing. It's the best feeling in the world as a player to be with people you love, playing in front of so many other people that are cheering for you and on such a big stage. Obviously getting farther and farther, it just gets even better, but even just that game shows us how what we're fighting for, what we're working for to get towards, because you always want to have that feeling.
How important is that experience too, just having that, postseason, this is what it's going to be like, knowing that that's what you're aiming for the next year?
Oh, that's everything, because you playing in front of a lot of people is different, but playing in March Madness is a whole different. If you lose, you're out, and everybody wants to win so bad. So just not overthinking it, not trying too hard, and being poised enough to play your game and to be confident and know you're going to beat. You can beat most of the teams you're playing, even the really good ones.
Coach, focusing back on the West Coast Conference, what do you see as the challenges and the strengths of this conference this year? What teams are you really looking at as threats this season coming in?
All of them. I really think this could be the strongest league we've ever had. And I've been in the league for a long time now, almost 20 years. And I just think there are no gimmies. And on any given night, if you don't play well, you're going to lose. There's great coaching in this league. There's a lot of depth of talent. Teams are getting better and better. The teams that have traditionally been at the bottom are getting better. And the teams on top have just continued to step up their level of play. So I'm really looking forward to it because, again, like Hayden says, I think it makes us better. When we go through a tough conference season, it makes teams better for postseason. We're ready for what we're going to see. And so I look forward to a really, really good league.
Hayden, what's it like to be in this league and just to have those games where every game is going to really matter and, there's just so many good teams in this league. What's it like to be out on the court during a game like that?
It's great to be a part of a league that's progressing and getting better every year, and to be one of the top teams is obviously an honor. But it's a really fun thing to be a part of. I was actually thinking about that, just out there looking around at the different players that are here and coaches, and just from the years I've been here, just seeing how much we progressed and how the games are getting a little bit tighter and a little bit more competitive, and we might even get a couple losses here and there because they're getting so much better because we're a great team. So in order to get there, you have to be playing pretty well. So it's just a fun process to be a part of, and I hope that each year we just progress it even more so that we can make a better name for ourselves and for our league.
And last year, you were the best team in the league, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. How do you improve that this year and keep that going?
Well, right now we're throwing the ball everywhere, so I don't know. Offensively, we've got a ways to go. We're going to continue the same style we've always played. We want to play up-tempo basketball. We want to get it out and go. We're a little longer and maybe more inside-oriented this year. We'll see how that plays out. But I think defensively, we can build on what we did last year. I really do think we can be a strong team because we are so long. So we're the type of team that can challenge shots. We can, tip balls. We can get steals. We can do those kind of things. So we just got to continue to tighten it up like everybody does. But I really like the ceiling for this team. I really do think we have a lot of growth potential. I think what we're going to see in March is going to be a lot different than what we're going to see in November. And I'm really excited for that as a coach. That's what drives me, and that's what keeps me excited about this season.
Hayden, one last question for you. Is there one team you're really getting excited to play this year, one game that you really get up for during the conference schedule?
BYU. They were coming into our conference kind of new and a great team. They got a win with us my first year playing at Gonzaga, so that one always sticks with me. So I always want to beat them every year.
And Coach, I know it's a difficult question, but a goal, or not a goal, but a prediction for this year. What do you think?
Oh,
what do you think?
Well, if you play Gonzaga, we're going to play hard and we're going to compete. I wouldn't make predictions. Our goal is the same as always. We want to win the conference. We want to win the conference tournament, and then we want to go as far as we can in postseason play. And I think those are realistic goals. But I guarantee you, there's 9 other teams out there that are going to give us a heck of a challenge and push us. And we better be ready. Hayden, we better be ready.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Coach Graves. Hayden Palmer, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back with more interviews from the West Coast Conference Basketball Tip-Off. Welcome back to our West Coast Conference basketball tip-off live interviews. I'm now joined by LMU head coach Charity Elliott and Hazel Ramirez. Welcome.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
You ready for the season to start?
Oh, yes.
I think we're ready to go.
Excellent. All right, Coach, tell me a little bit about your team this year. What can we expect from the LMU program?
Well, I think that we've got a nice combination of some veterans as well as some incoming freshmen who I think are really going to make an impact for us right away. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're very up-tempo, very fast. Try to get up and down, do a little pressure, and just outrun people. That's our plan.
And one of the big topics with your team this year is Alex Cowling has graduated, all-time leading scorer in the West Coast Conference. Hazel, what is your role going to be now that she's no longer here, as opposed to, or in terms of providing some of the offense for the team?
Yes, I'm gonna try to really set a good example for these, freshmen and my teammates. I will also try to be a leader on the court and be more vocal and, try to make everyone have a role on the team and really contribute.
Is that a role you're excited about and enjoying so far?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the team. We're developing and we're getting things done day by day, so.
What do you see as some of the positives with the team this year? What are you really liking out there?
I like our energy and our mentality going into, practices every day, for example. Our approach to the game, we attack practice every day with passion. We push each other to be better and to set us up for, season.
And Coach, obviously a player like Alex, you can't replace her. She was one of the best players the conference has ever seen, but I mean, there's always players who can fill in. So what do you see as the goal this year kind of in trying to fill in for her?
Yeah, I think a player like Alex, you don't just say, Hazel, you have to do everything she did.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely going to be kind of a committee, everybody having to step up and do a little bit more. I mean, Hazel showing tremendous leadership. She creates so many things for us offensively and defensively. She can get to the basket herself or find and distribute and get a lot of people involved, which I think you're going to see just a team that is not, we may have a different person leading us each night in scoring. We don't have the one person who is going to, is going to take the majority of shots or do this. It's going to really be a team by committee and everybody kind of just doing their part. And that may be 6 points one night, 15 points the next night. So I think we're definitely a work in progress. We're still trying to figure that out. But I like the direction we're going, and I love the leadership we have from Hazel, Mackenzie, Cairns, and then Emily Benjumbo. Our three captains have been tremendous so far.
And what do you see as really the strengths of your team this year? What excites you about this team?
I think what Hazel was saying is their passion coming into practice every day. I mean, some days it's like they're so giddy and so excited and so happy to be there. And I think the team is very close. I think everybody's really bought into the system of what we're trying to do offensively and defensively. And I really think just everybody has really bought into it's going to take everybody every night doing what they do. And that, I think, will help us be successful.
And Hazel, we're seeing highlights right now of the West Coast Conference tournament last year where you guys won in the first round. What was that experience like for you, just getting kind of that postseason experience and getting to play out there with your team?
I feel like it's a start where we can, prove ourselves that, even though we're ranked, number 6 on our poll, we could do big things together collectively. I think we have a good chance of, being up there, I think we have a good, a good chance.
How important are those experiences, your team having success early on in the West Coast Conference tournament last year, just kind of solidifying the chemistry of your team?
Yeah, I think we all felt like the last month of the season for us, things really started to click and everybody really understood what we were trying to do. I mean, it's a new system, new coaches. I mean, everything was so new. It took us that long to kind of like, oh, this makes sense. Okay, now we're not thinking so much. And now we're kind of stepping into that at the beginning. Everybody, again, really buying into what we're doing, understanding whether it's making an extra pass or being in rotation or whatever it might be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, from the beginning, hopefully if we carry over with where we ended, I think we feel pretty good about it.
And it's your second full season as the head coach at LMU. How do you feel like that foundation was laid last year for next year? What do you foresee as the future of this program?
Well, I think that last year's team did an amazing job of not fighting, I don't want to say fight, but fighting us on what we were trying to do. They were so eager and welcoming and excited about, whatever we were trying to do. And we laid the foundation. Now, hopefully, we can just kind of, and it's already started. The first month of practice, we've been able to go at a different speed and pace than we were able to last year. Where really last year it was like we had a whole team of freshmen. This year we have 5 that are kind of like trying to figure it out. So it makes a tremendous difference.
And last year the offense was fantastic. Defense struggled a little bit, but how have you implemented ways to kind of improve that this year?
Well, we're always going to be kind of a high-risk, high-reward team. So we're gonna look pretty silly occasionally on defense because we do try. We want to take chances. It appears that we run around a lot, although there truly is a method to the madness most of the time. But certainly we have kind of gone back and really tried to solidify. We got to be a good half-court defensive team first, but we always want our defense to help create offense for us. So we're always going to be that team that is out there in the passing lane and trying to deny passes and trying to get easy baskets from our defense.
And Hazel, playing in the West Coast Conference, I mean, this is a tough basketball conference. What's it like to be out on the floor every game? It's so important. What's it like for you?
It's a challenge, but at the same time, it's also fun. It's way different, obviously, from high school experience, but that transition really is fascinating, as you could say. And it's really just great playing with, other people, other girls who also have a great passion for the game and, who could also play well and challenge you. And I think it's just a great experience. I really love it.
And a lot of the coaches have been saying that they think this is one of the strongest years ever for the West Coast Conference. Do you see that, and what do you think makes it that way?
Well, I think the parity, you look at from top to bottom, it's going to be, every night is going to be a challenge. And, we know from last year how many games, whether it was an overtime game or just a close game where, gosh, we win a couple of more of those games and who knows what happens. So we know, even I know from 1 year's experience that we got to be ready to play. And if you're not ready to play, anybody truly can beat anybody on a given night. And certainly Gonzaga is still the team to beat, and we have a very good Pacific program coming in. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
How much do you guys know about Pacific, and what do you think they're going to bring to the conference this year? And either of you can answer that, whoever wants to.
Well, Pacific, Lynn's done a great job up there turning that program around and having tremendous success in the Big West. And I knew Lynn when she was at Chico State in Division II, and so it just has been able to follow her career and how she's done. And they got it rolling up there, and so, you add them to the mix. It's just, again, one more game, one more night where you better be ready to play.
And Hazel, is there a game every year in the West Coast Conference that you really look forward to playing, a team that you really get up to play against?
Yes, I really look forward to playing Gonzaga at their house. I just love the atmosphere and, the fans out there. It's just a great place to be at and to play. I really look forward to that game.
Coach, I know this is a difficult question to answer, but if you had to kind of put one goal onto your season this year, one thing that you would say, yes, that made it a successful season, what would it be?
I want this team, and I'm not going to really answer your question,
okay.
but I really want this team to reach this team's potential. So I think every year the team has a different potential kind of each year. I want this team to, by the end of the year, be playing our best basketball, which, again, I think we were able to do that last year, but hopefully we ratchet it up just a little bit more. Our expectations are certainly higher than they were in the last year. But I want us to come out every night, compete, fight, never give in, never give up, and after teams play us, I want them to respect, no matter what happens, I want them to respect the way that we play, how hard we play, and know that if they beat us, they're gonna have to earn it.
Well, that answered my question.
Well, in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Coach Elliott. Hazel Ramirez, best of luck this season, and we'll be back with more interviews. Welcome back to our West Coast Conference Women's Basketball Tip-Off. We are now joined by the newcomers in the conference, Pacific, Lynn Roberts, and Kendall Kenyon. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
How's it going so far? Are you excited to be a part of the conference?
We are. It's been great. This is a good first day to be part of the conference. It's exciting. It's, as I've said before, there's such a vision and progressive movement with this conference in terms of exposure and national recognition, so it's exciting.
Kendall, how excited are you to be part of a new conference? How much does it really affect you, honestly?
It's really exciting. Some of the teams are close, so we get to play closer teams. The exposure is good, good competition, so we're really excited.
And Coach, tell us a little bit about your team. Get us acquainted with the Pacific Tigers. What's your team going to look like this year?
Well, we graduated 3 starters from last year's team. We had a great year last year. Won the Big West Conference last year, so it was good. Now we're heading into the West Coast Conference. So we've got a lot of new people. We have some transfers, but you have to start here with Kendall. She's our leading returning scorer and rebounder. She was the, I think, leading rebounder in the conference last year, 3rd leading scorer, 1st in field goal percentage. So we've got a great junior here with us, and it kind of starts with her. And then we've got some quality returners coming back that have been in the program for a couple years. And then we have some new transfers that'll be eligible to play right away and will really help.
And you did mention you have 3 starters gone from last year. Kendall, who kind of steps up into those roles? How do you kind of see that filling itself out?
I mean, yeah, we definitely have a lot of new players. Half our team kind of left. So we have some really good transfers, a couple from Fresno State, from UW, and then just some of the players last year are just really stepping up.
How are practices going so far? What are you liking about the way your team's playing this year? And what do you still think you need to work on coming into real play?
Well, it depends on the day. So yesterday we had a good practice. So, at this point in the preseason, you really don't know what you're just tired of playing against each other. All you're doing is, you run a play and the defense knows exactly what you're trying to do. And so at this point, everybody's ready to start playing other people. But I would say that, already I think we're bigger than we were last year. We're a little bit more physical. We've got some great scoring guards. Our style of play, we like to get up and down the floor, and we've got some people that can really score. So some days we look great. Other days we look like we have quite a bit to improve upon. So I'm looking forward to getting games started. Then we'll really know.
And tell us about your offense. What does it look like out there on the court? What's kind of the scheme and theory behind it?
Well, we run a 4-out, 1-in. We really do put 5 people on the floor that can all shoot the 3, that can all attack the basket. So we try to just force tempo, and we do that through defense, through offense, playing fast. I always want to play a style that is up-tempo and fast, and we score a lot of points. And at the end of the day, the goal is to score more points than the other team. So that's what we're going to try to do. And hopefully, that's what we can be again this year. I think we should be with the playmakers that we have. We should be able to continue right where we've been the last couple of years.
And Kendall, having that team that won the Big West last year, what is that experience like for you, and how good was that foundation that you laid for coming this year?
It was an awesome feeling, but new conference, new team, we're kind of starting over again, rebuilding, so we still have a lot of work to do, but we're really excited.
And how much do you know about this conference? I mean, how prepared are you to play these teams every day, where every day, it's a battle, it's going to be, any team could win on any day. How excited are you to come into that kind of conference?
It's really exciting. We still have to learn personnel and everything, but we've played some of the teams before, St. Mary's, Santa Clara, so yeah, we're ready.
Do you feel like that's kind of beneficial to you, knowing a lot of these teams before, just because you are in that area?
Yeah, definitely. Having experience with them will help us push forward.
Great. And tell me a little bit about your defense. What's the scheme on the defensive side of the ball?
Same thing. We always try to want to force tempo. So last year we had, last couple years, and this is the plan this year too, to have the athletes to really, we'll press for 40 minutes, and we'll trap just about anywhere we can, and just be pretty physical on the ball and pressure. Again, everything we're trying to do is force tempo and get you, the other team, to be uncomfortable. So defensively is no different than offense. We're just going to try to make you play fast and uncomfortable.
And you were excellent at home last year, 14-3. What's it like to play in the Spanos Center, and why is that such a good home field advantage for you?
I like the Spanos Center. It's great. It's good. We have a great home crowd, and I don't know. It's a fun place to play. We have historically done really well there. Our team just we shoot well there. It's just and I know it's going to be new to a lot of these West Coast Conference opponents coming in there, but it's a great facility. It really is. It's a gorgeous place, and we get a good, solid crowd, and it's loud, and so it's a fun college basketball atmosphere.
And Kendall, tell us a little bit about the way you play the game. We've never seen you in the West Coast Conference out on the court, so tell us a little bit about your style of play.
Well, I like to get up and down the court. I like to play fast, and I like to block shots. So I try and be a presence down there and really just consistent with my rebounding.
And besides Kendall, who are some of the players we should really look out for this year that you think are going to have breakout years this year on your team?
Well, I think in terms of new players that we have, Kiki Moore is going to be our starting point guard, and she's Mountain West Player of the Year a couple years ago, and I expect her to come in and really be an impact player in the conference, and we're going to need that. Margie Hurd is also a transfer from University of Washington, and she'll be eligible to play. 6'1", 6'2". She'll be a nice complement, 1-2 punch with Kendall Kenyon here. And so those two, I think, are going to really contribute. We've got Madison Parrish, who's also a transfer. She's going to play quite a bit. And then we've got some good young ones coming up. There's a lot of them. Haley Eccles and Sam Pettinger. We've got some good horses, so we'll see.
And coming into the West Coast Conference, is there any game or any team that you're really excited to play against, or somewhere you're really excited to go travel that you haven't been able to before, or regularly before?
No, we'd like to play them all at home, but we will travel a little bit. No, every game is new. We've played, as Kendall said, we've played some of these teams before, but we've played them in November or December. And when you play them in late February, and it means a whole lot, it's going to be a different emotion to playing them. So while I'm familiar with St. Mary's, very familiar with Santa Clara, USF, playing them when it means something is going to be different. And so obviously all these teams are going to be new to us. Travel is going to be a little bit new, but we're going to be new to those guys too. So I like that. I like coming in and feeling like we're the new guy in town, and people are going to have to learn us just like we're going to have to learn them. But it's kind of fun to be in that role.
How much of an advantage do you think that gives you, being the new person that everyone has to kind of prepare for differently every year?
Yeah, I think it gives us an advantage, but as Coach was saying, it goes both ways. We don't know much about them. They don't know much about us, so yeah.
Is there one game or one place you're particularly looking forward to within the conference?
Not really. I'm just looking forward to start playing.
She's tired of practice.
Yeah.
Did you sense that?
I've heard.
Tired of practice.
How, coming into this year, I know it's a hard question, but is there one goal that you want to put on your team, and if it's accomplished at the end of the year, you'd be able to say, yes, that was a successful season?
Well, I think I'm sure everybody that you've talked to, the goal is always to make the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is certainly our goal as well. We're no different in that. And that's kind of just the benchmark goal, I think. We've been fortunate the last couple of years to make it to WNIT, and we've done well and advanced, but that's not good enough. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and we've loved it, but we want to take that next step. And so that's kind of our benchmark goal. But man, a lot has to happen for that to be a realistic possibility, and there's a lot of games to be played to know if that's going to be in our cards or not.
What about you, Kendall? What's one goal you have, either for yourself or for the team, that you'll look at it and say, yes, that was a successful year?
Definitely for the team, just doing well in the conference and making it to the NCAA tournament. That's been a goal for the last couple of years, and I think that's really everyone's ultimate goal.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me. We're so excited to have you as part of the conference.
We're excited to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, and we'll have one more interview with Pepperdine Waves coming up shortly after this. Welcome back to the West Coast Conference basketball tip-off interviews. This is our last interview of the day, but we've got Coach Ryan Weisenberg and Bria Richardson from Pepperdine with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit, first of all, about what we can expect from your team this year. What's your program going to look like?
Straight awesomeness. No, it's we're going to compete. We are going to be physical. We're going to be fast. I've got some great players, Bria being one of them. She's the face of our program, so we're really excited to see what she does under the new head coach, new staff. It's going to be fun.
Yes, and it's your first year coaching this year. What can we expect from your coaching style? What do you like out there?
That may be one she can answer. To
We'll ask you first, and then we'll go.
To me, it's like I'm that perfect coach. Everybody, you know, it's that good stuff. But in reality, I know that they probably think I'm a little bit crazy, and so it's good. It's a good mix of. It's a good balance.
Excellent.
So.
What do you think of
him
so far?
Coach Ryan's definitely very intense. But he does a great job of balancing out like work with fun as well. So I think that's one of his greatest attributes.
What's the makeup of your team look like this year? What are going to be your strengths? What do you think you need to work on a little bit more so far, as you've just had early practices, but what's your assessment so far?
Right now, we're putting in a new defensive system, new offensive system. We have a lot of young players. We have no returning seniors. So it really right now it's a little bit ugly, a little bit beautiful. It's kind of that mix. But I think our strengths are going to be our perimeter play. Again, Bria, Io Shustari, Keitra Wallace really bring a flavor to on the court, and I think they work really well together. And we have a great freshman guard coming in, Allie Green, who can score with the best of them. And so I think that's one of our biggest strengths. We can handle the ball, we can handle the pressure, we can put pressure on. So it's going to be really fun for the fans. I think one thing that we're really working on constantly and every day, and I think I stop practice at least once, 10 times a day, with our post players. We got to get them in the mindset they have to control the paint, and they've got to score, and they've got to rebound more, and that coming from an undersized post. But I love them to death. It just seems like we got to constantly remind them, you're out there, we need you.
And Bria, with no seniors on the team, as a junior, you're one of the leaders on the team. What's that like? What's that role like for you? Are you enjoying it? And what do you expect to do with that this year?
Well, being a leader is a huge responsibility. And it's been great, though. It's been a great road so far. Everybody's pretty much jumped on the bandwagon, and we're going to have a great year.
Tell us about your style of play and what you're looking to do this year. What have you been working on improving over the offseason for this coming year?
Well, over the offseason, I've been improving my jump shot. But my style of play, I like to attack. I like to get up in people in defense and just play fast and very athletic style.
What are some of the challenges that come with having such a young team where you don't have seniors on the team?
One is leadership. I was saying this earlier. Bria, as soon as I got hired, basically called me, Coach, I'm 100% on. Let's rock and roll. Our team leadership really needs to develop and grow. I think that's going to be the biggest thing between success and just mediocrity. And she's doing a phenomenal job with it. We've got a couple other players that have kind of taken that role and kind of taken that step out of their comfort zone. So if we can get that going, I think we're going to be in a really good spot come WCC time. So that's the biggest thing for us right now.
And you'll certainly be working this year on building the foundation for the future as well, with it being your first year. But what are some of the things you're really looking forward to to say, like, yes, this has been a successful year for us this year? You know what?
We want to be in the top 3 in rebounding in the conference. That is a big goal of mine. We start every practice with very physical, aggressive rebounding drills. I think the girls thought I was crazy when we started practice every day like that. But that's a big goal for us. And it's a monumental goal for us. If we can get there, I think we're going to be on the better side of the win-loss column, just because you have to control the boards. We didn't do a good job of that in the past, and that's a big focus for us. And then also the defensive end. We've got to come in and be more physical. We've got to really make teams play ugly basketball, half-court basketball, and that's our focus. And again, if we can get in the top 3, top 5 of the conference, I think we're going to be in a really good position to make some noise.
And Bria, what about you? What goals would you place on your team this year?
Of course, rebounding has been, we have a lot of emphasis placed on rebounding, and also defensively. We need to learn how to stop the ball early in transition, get back, and then it all comes back down to rebounding.
What's it like to play in this conference? It's a very tough conference. It's one of those conferences where any night anyone could beat anyone else. And what's it like just to battle out there on that court against some of these teams?
The WCC is amazing. It's fun to play. It's challenging, put it that way, because every game you have to come hard to play. There's no breaks at all.
How does your role change as a head coach? What are you looking forward to in preparing for some of these teams, and what do you foresee as some of the challenges this year?
I think the biggest step is now every decision's mine. I have 3 amazing assistant coaches that give me a lot of feedback and a lot of insight. And but the biggest thing is making the adjustments on the fly. I've had that head coach's mentality, being in pro ball for so long, head coaching and all that good stuff. So it's not a far step. But I think the biggest thing is we go up against some of the most amazing coaches in the country, and so it's going to be matching wits with them. It's a chess game, and I think if they can pick up what we're teaching them and apply it quickly, we're going to be right up there. So we're really excited about it. I think the switches, I just get a little bit more camera time instead of being behind the head coach. I'm out in front. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So, but I'm excited about it.
Well, I think it'll be a great thing for your team this year. Bria, what are some games you look forward to every year on the West Coast Conference schedule? Any teams or places you really look forward to traveling to?
Well, because LMU's our rival, that's always a great game, but also playing the top people in the conference like BYU, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, those are always very intense games, and the atmosphere is always very fun.
And how tough is it to play in this conference, really?
Extremely tough. This year is going to be even tougher. Everybody returns their top scorer, top rebounder, or top defender, and we're the only team that doesn't out of 10. And then you bring Pacific in, who has always been a top dog in the Big West. So this year, again, like Bria said, there's no easy night. You got to bring it, and if you don't, you're going to get spanked. And our goal is not to get spanked. We want to be on top a lot more, and we want to be winning, and we want to be doing what we need to do.
Speaking of Pacific, they are new to the conference this year. How does that change the dynamic, and how much do you know about them, and what are the challenges with having a new team in the conference?
I think the biggest thing is they bring an up-tempo style. They're well coached. They've got great talent. So now we've got to kind of adapt to another team that's going to be up and down. We've got to slow them up. We've got to make them play or make them uncomfortable. So I think that's going to be a big key. And again, it's another great coach coming into the conference. It's going to be a tough night. And the only other thing is frequent flyer miles up to the Bay Area is another. We're up there 4 times instead of 3. So
that's not the worst thing in the world, right?
No, it's great. It's great.
It's no Malibu.
No, it's no Malibu at all.
How does that dynamic change with the travel partners? How nice is that to kind of have that set schedule every week?
You know what? My wife played volleyball at Pepperdine, and they used to do the same thing and have the travel partners. And now seeing how it's going to work, it's great. It's not we're bouncing around here and there. We know who we're playing. We know how to adjust to the different flights. And when we start the season with San Diego, and then we're bouncing over to BYU, and it just makes things a lot easier. It's clearer for the kids. It makes it easy for the coaches. So we're excited about it.
Bria, what are you most looking forward to about this season this year?
I'm looking forward to playing under a new coach, a new coaching staff, because it just brings a whole new atmosphere to the team.
What do you expect that atmosphere to be like, and what are you looking forward to once the season starts?
Competitive. Like, we're going to be very, very competitive, and I'm very excited for that.
And Coach, what about you? What is the one thing you're most looking forward to under your first year at Pepperdine?
I think working with the girls and representing Pepperdine. It's the most amazing campus. It's the most amazing school. I could not ask for a better place. And so I'm blessed to be there and to be representing it. So, but more so to see how these girls grow from day one all the way till the end. And hopefully we're there knocking the crown off of Gonzaga and taking it from them.
Excellent. And what do you expect that experience to be like when you get to Las Vegas, the West Coast Conference Championships? How excited are you for that tournament, Bria?
Oh, I'm way too excited. I wish we can go already. But I'm just ready to compete and have fun and play hard and play in front of a lot of people. I think that's the biggest thing. It's really fun to play in front of a large crowd.
And what about you? What is that experience going to be like for your team?
It's just getting those girls, they're young. It's putting them in a position, spotlight, more people. It's just, the excitement, the atmosphere, that's the biggest thing. And really, we've basically got to do some upsetting because, I think they ranked us 10th, which it breaks my heart. But, it just means that we're going to do some things that people don't expect, and we're going to do it there.
And having that, people won't expect, how much of that is kind of used, can you use that as motivation and kind of have that chip on your shoulder coming into the season?
Oh, it's easy. I as soon as we saw it, I texted Bria and said, it's time to do some work. It's time to change people's minds about women's basketball at Pepperdine. And, let's put ourselves where we used to be at the top 3, top 2, top 1, and let's work and get there. And I think that's the biggest thing right now.
And do you feel ready to do that?
I'm ready. That just added more fuel to our fire.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we're excited to have you as a head coach this year.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And that's going to wrap up our West Coast Conference tip-off basketball interviews on the women's side. Thank you for joining us all day long.